I was acting. Who gets shot 5 times while acting? His voice carried a mix of disbelief and bitterness, low and deliberate, like each word had been chewed over 100 times before he let it leave his mouth. He paused, eyes narrowing, scanning as if weighing how much of the truth the world could handle. All right, maybe not 5 times, not exactly as they said. I was only shot once because they found the bug. That was always the beginning, the moment where reality and memory blurred. Nights folded into each other as he drove through the city streets, the slick asphalt reflecting neon signs and chaotic, fractured lines. Rain had fallen earlier, leaving puddles that rippled with every passing car, shimmering like fractured mirrors. The city was alive with distant shouts, blaring horns, and the faint hum of late-night traffic. And then cutting through the hum, a voice or many voices shouting like a tidal wave, "Tupac, Tupac." Time seemed to suspend itself. Every movement slowed, every detail sharpened, as if the world held its breath. He came to a red light, and there he was, Tupac, leaning casually out the passenger window, radiating a magnetic energy that seemed to bend reality itself. People turned instinctively, unable to look away. It was a presence that demanded attention, not by force, but by sheer gravity of being. When asked which moment truly mattered, which conversation about Tupac held the core of truth, his answer was almost reverent. "It was both of them," he said softly, his voice tinged with awe, almost like he feared speaking it aloud. "Either one, Tupac, Tupac and Suge." Then came the storm that would shake the foundations of hip-hop history. The release of the Diddy documentary, The Reckoning, tore old wounds wide open, exposing secrets that had remained buried for decades. Hidden truths, carefully locked away, surfaced online with a force that made them impossible to ignore. The evidence suggested Diddy's possible involvement in Tupac's death, a revelation so incendiary that law enforcement quietly updated their internal files. Diddy's name, once whispered in shadowed corners of barbershops and recording studios, was now officially documented. Fans, journalists, and conspiracy theorists began piecing together threads that had haunted hip-hop culture for decades. The theory was terrifying in its simplicity. Diddy wanted Tupac gone because he wanted to be Tupac. Tupac embodied everything Diddy strived to become. Effortless charm, magnetic presence, the kind of aura that pulled people in and refused to let go. People didn't just follow Tupac, they were drawn into him, mesmerized by the authenticity that radiated naturally from every movement, every word. Desire, respect, admiration, they flowed toward him without manipulation, without fear. Tupac didn't have to command attention, it followed him like gravity. He had a star quality Diddy could never replicate, no matter how much wealth, power, or influence he amassed. Diddy tried to manufacture love through control, intimidation, and fear, while Tupac earned it simply by existing. In Diddy's mind, removing Tupac was victory. In reality, Tupac's death cemented his immortality. Diddy remained haunted, questioned, forever bound to what he could never control. 50 Cent refused to let the story die. The industry buzzed with shockwaves when he announced, "It's not over." Unreleased footage cut from the Netflix documentary was slated for YouTube, promising revelations too raw, too intense for mainstream audiences. Among the claims that stunned even seasoned insiders, Diddy had started a family with Tupac's former girlfriend. In 2006, he had a daughter, Chance Combs, with Sarah Chapman, who had famously dated Tupac in 1995. Investigators scrutinized the timeline. On November 18, 1995, Tupac was photographed with Sarah Chapman, Diddy's so-called dream girl. When she began seeing Tupac, jealousy allegedly ignited Diddy's first attempt on the rapper's life, a plot quietly buried by police reports but never entirely erased. "I believe so," an insider confessed. "I can prove things, but some truths aren't meant for the world. It's between me and him, and he knows." Every time Tupac spoke, the tension resurfaced, a quiet reminder of the danger that lingered. "I was acting. Who gets shot 5 times while acting?" The words echoed like a shadow through time, heavy with the weight of violence, jealousy, and betrayal. But the story didn't end there. Years later, the layers of conspiracy, ambition, and street politics would emerge even more vividly. Diddy's first failed attempt was only the beginning. During the trial, chilling claims surfaced. A former lapped officer stated that Diddy allegedly offered $1 million to have Tupac eliminated. Suge Knight retaliated, and Biggie Smalls was murdered in the chaos that followed. Keefe D, the alleged hitman, eventually came forward, revealing Diddy as the orchestrator of the plot. For over 2 decades, the truth D been buried. Only years later, under interrogation, did Keefe D admit the truth. Diddy had been the mastermind. Locations spanned the West Coast: San Diego, Anaheim, Irvine, Las Vegas. Every one of them a stage for the violence that had reshaped hip-hop forever. Diddy was confronted in interviews, but he remained calm, carefully dismissive. "We don't entertain nonsense," he said, lean and composed, a man who had spent decades perfecting control. "We don't even talk about things like that." But the evidence persisted. Legal filings mentioned his name over 70 times. Keefe D's confession, the eyewitness testimonies, the police files, all pointed to a web of intrigue and ambition that was impossible to ignore. Even Tupac's own biographer weighed in, casting a stark light on the man behind the myth. "He wasn't as tough as he pretended," the author explained. "He couldn't fight, he didn't know how to shoot, he wasn't that guy, but he started to believe it. He method acted his own legend." Tupac had constructed an identity, a persona that commanded respect, that kept him alive in a world that was ready to take him down. But when that method acting became real, the lines between performance and survival blurred, and the consequences were deadly. The case reopened and new names emerged. Suge Knight returned as a central figure in the investigation. Eminem had voiced it years earlier. "I'm holding Suge responsible for the deaths of the two greatest rappers to ever live." Detective Russell Poole suggested Suge orchestrated Tupac's death before he could leave Death Row Records, framing the rival Blue Team to mislead investigators. Even Snoop Dogg became a figure of suspicion. Absent from the car Tupac was in that fateful night, timing that investigators found highly suspicious. September 7, 1996, Las Vegas. Tupac and Suge Knight attended the Mike Tyson fight at the MGM Grand. A confrontation erupted with Orlando Anderson over a stolen necklace. Security intervened and Tupac retreated to change clothes. By 11 p.m., he and Suge were in their BMW heading to Club 662. They never arrived. A white Cadillac pulled up beside them at a red light. Shots rang out. Tupac was struck multiple times, chest, arm, thigh. No arrests, no charges. Years later, Keefe D recounted the events on DJ Vlad's show, describing Tupac's movements, the moments of fear, the tension in the air. Even then, Keefe D expressed regret. "I hate that it happened. It was wrong. I wish it never happened." And yet the mystery endured. Some files hinted at the impossible, that Tupac might still be alive. Mentors and friends described him as a strategic thinker, a man performing a role to broker peace between feuding street factions. Even Suge Knight repeatedly claimed in interviews that when he left Tupac in the hospital, they had been laughing and joking. Impossible if Tupac had truly been on the edge of death. Later, Suge was attacked himself, seemingly targeted for what he knew. His son took to Instagram, claiming Tupac was alive in Malaysia, posting cryptic messages. "You said too much, time for you to go." He even shared photos of Tupac with modern celebrities, hinting at survival or perhaps manipulating the narrative. Some saw it as a publicity stunt, others believed it. The questions remained unanswered. No story in hip-hop carried as much weight, as much shadow as Tupac Shakur's life and death. No one knew what truly happened. And yet the legend endured, larger than life, immortal in memory, a figure that refused to be contained. When the first attempt failed, the shadows did not retreat. They returned sharper, more deliberate, as if emboldened by the initial misstep. The streets themselves seemed to conspire, the city humming with a dangerous energy that only those entrenched in its rhythm could feel. A second attempt followed, quiet but precise, calculated in the kind of way that left no room for error. It was a plan executed in whispers, in sidelong glances, in the dark corners where power, envy, and fear intersected. During the Diddy trial, the world glimpsed the machinery behind the legend. A former lapped officer took the stand, describing in chilling detail allegations that had long been murmured in back rooms and underground circles. Diddy, he testified, had allegedly offered $1 million to see Tupac eliminated, a sum that spoke not just to the value placed on a life but to the cold calculus of ambition. Suge Knight, in turn, retaliated, exacting his own brand of ruthless justice. Biggie Smalls, caught in the crossfire, was murdered shortly after, a tragic domino set in motion by a culture of rivalry and retribution. At the center of this violent web was Keefe D, the alleged hitman, a man who walked in the shadows for over 20 years, carrying secrets heavier than most could imagine. Freedom had cloaked him in a dangerous invisibility, his role in history buried beneath silence and fear. Eventually, law enforcement caught up. During interrogation, unaware that every word was being recorded, Keefe D confessed. His voice carried a mixture of resignation and cold honesty. Diddy had been the mastermind. When pressed on locations, San Diego, Anaheim, Irvine, Las Vegas, he paused, then delivered the simple, devastating truth: every one of them. Every city, every street, every intersection became a stage for violence and betrayal. And when asked about the conversations, the orchestrations that had guided each movement, each plan, he answered with quiet finality: it was about both of them, Tupac and Suge. The first confrontation with Diddy on camera crackled with tension. He leaned back, composed, a man who had spent decades mastering control over perception, projecting calm while chaos lingered just beneath the surface. "We don't entertain nonsense," he said, measured, deliberate. "We don't even talk about things like that." The words were smooth, almost hypnotic, a deflection practiced over countless interviews, but the questions would not relent. Legal filings had referenced Diddy's name 77 times. Keefe D had made it clear. Every action, every decision had been executed at Diddy's command, and to the hitman's own admission, it had been easier than anticipated. Even Tupac's biographer offered an unsettling perspective. "He wasn't as tough as he appeared," the author explained, voice heavy with reflection. "That lifestyle was sold to him. He couldn't fight, he didn't know how to shoot, he wasn't that guy. And yet he became the persona the world worshipped." Tupac method acted his own legend, inhabiting a character he had meticulously crafted for survival, influence, and intimidation, a performance that blurred the line between reality and persona. Each gesture, each word, each look was calculated to command respect, to manipulate perception, to protect himself in a world where trust was a rare commodity. The investigation reopened like a wound that refused to heal, revealing evidence long hidden, names previously unspoken. Suge Knight resurfaced as a central figure, his shadow stretching across multiple deaths, his reputation as impenetrable as it was feared. Eminem had voiced a sentiment years earlier that resonated with the truth. "I'm holding Suge responsible for the deaths of the two greatest rappers to ever live." Detective Russell Poole's records suggested that Suge orchestrated Tupac's murder before the rapper could leave Death Row Records, deliberately framing the rival Blue Team to mislead investigators. The plan was meticulous, layered with misdirection and strategic cunning, a chess game with lives as the stakes. Even Snoop Dogg, once untouchable in the world of music and celebrity, was not exempt from scrutiny. Documents revealed he had been slated to ride with Tupac that night, yet he was absent. Snoop later explained that tension between him and Tupac had grown unbearable, compelling him to remove himself from the situation, but investigators found the timing suspicious. Within 72 hours of the shooting, he had completely distanced himself from Tupac's circle. The coincidence, they concluded, could not be ignored. "A week before we were best friends," Snoop admitted years later, a trace of regret in his voice. "2 days before, I don't think he liked me." The words were deceptively simple, yet they carried the weight of fractured trust, unspoken threats, and the invisible currents of street politics. A reminder that in this world, every movement, every choice carried consequences that could echo for decades. The nights, the streets, the glimmering chaos of Las Vegas in 1996 now felt like another character in this story. A city alive with electricity and menace, reflecting the fears, ambitions, and obsessions of those who moved through it. Tupac, Suge, Diddy, Snoop, Keef D, all were entwined in a narrative that had become larger than life, a labyrinth of truth and deception where each revelation only deepened the mystery. Every whisper, every confession, every carefully curated statement added a new layer to a story that refused to remain contained. A story of ambition, jealousy, survival, and ultimately the haunting question: could any of it have been prevented, or was it inevitable from the start? September 7, 1996, Las Vegas shimmered like a jewel under a cloudless night sky, its streets alive with neon, the endless hum of traffic, and the distant roar of slot machines. The MGM Grand had been packed hours earlier, every seat vibrating with the excitement of a Mike Tyson fight. Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight were in attendance, blending into the energy of the crowd, yet impossible to overlook. Tupac moved with a presence that drew eyes even among thousands, a figure magnetic, unpredictable, a man whose very existence commanded attention. But the night, electric with anticipation, would soon turn deadly. After the fight, what seemed like a minor confrontation exploded into a moment of chaos. Tupac crossed paths with Orlando Anderson, a member of a rival street faction. The tension between them wasn't new. Years earlier, a necklace had been stolen, a theft that had festered in the streets like a wound refusing to heal. Words were exchanged, and what began as a verbal altercation escalated almost instantly. Security rushed in, separating the two, containing the immediate threat, but the storm had only begun to gather. Tupac retreated to his hotel to change clothes, a brief pause, a calm before the inevitable storm. By 11:00 p.m., Tupac and Suge were cruising the neon-lit streets in their black BMW, on their way to Club 662. The city around them pulsed with life, lights flickered on the asphalt, reflections dancing in puddles from a late summer drizzle, but the calm was fragile. Suddenly, a white Cadillac appeared alongside them at a red light, moving with a precision that betrayed premeditation. The world seemed to hold its breath, the normal hum of the strip silenced for the moment. Then came the shots, rapid, brutal, echoing through the night like a declaration. Tupac was hit multiple times, chest, arm, thigh. Pain, chaos, and disbelief collided in seconds, the moment captured forever in memory and legend. And yet, despite the violence, despite the evidence, no arrests were made that night. The city swallowed the crime, leaving a void filled with rumor and speculation. Years later, Keef D would recount the night on DJ Vlad's show, his voice low, regret etched in every word. He claimed Tupac had reached for something, an action interpreted differently depending on who told the story. But police reports painted a starkly different picture. No firearm was ever found in Tupac's car. The mystery deepened, another shadow added to the growing mythos. "I hate that it happened," Keef D confessed in private interviews. "It was wrong. I wish it never happened." Words of remorse, incapable of reversing history, but heavy with the weight of guilt and consequence. Investigators digging through files noticed anomalies, gaps, inconsistencies, and fragments that refused to align neatly. The theories multiplied. Some suggested Tupac may have survived the shooting, that his death had been staged, a calculated act to protect him or to serve larger, unseen agendas. One detective posited a more strategic view. Tupac had been positioned from the start as more than a rapper. He was a mediator, a unifying figure meant to calm street conflicts and broker truces. His mentor, the former Black Panther and first business manager Chokai Lumumba, confirmed this. Tupac's notorious thug-life persona was a performance, a tactical guise designed to engage street leaders to earn their respect and to enforce peace where violence had reigned. Behind the leather jackets, tattoos, and bravado, there was an intellect and a purpose few truly understood. When the plan to maintain peace failed and Tupac became a target, the lines between reality and myth blurred. Some speculated that his death had been staged, a protective illusion. Evidence supporting this surfaced in fragments. A rapper who had collaborated with Tupac claimed the last time he saw him was in Cuba, far from the chaos of Las Vegas. Footage later emerged suggesting Tupac had been spotted there, alive, blending into the tropical landscape as if he had vanished intentionally. Suge Knight, who had been at his side during the shooting, repeatedly insisted across interviews and years, "When I left the hospital, me and Pac were laughing and joking." A statement that seemed to contradict official medical records showing Tupac unconscious, deepening the enigma surrounding his fate. The ripple effects were far from over. Suge Knight himself became a target in the years following the shooting, an attack thought to be linked to the same shadowy forces that had sought Tupac. Then came the social media storm. Suge's son took to Instagram claiming Tupac was alive, living in Malaysia. A cryptic warning appeared the following day: "You said too much, time for you to go." Soon after, photographs circulated showing Tupac alongside modern celebrities, 50 Cent, Beyonce, and others, blurring timelines, challenging credibility, and forcing fans to question what was real and what was fabricated. Some dismissed the claims as a stunt, a bid for attention, but others believed the evidence, convinced that the truth had been kept hidden for decades. In the end, the facts remained elusive, the story unfinished. Tupac Shakur had become more than a man. He was a symbol, a legend, a ghost haunting the streets of Las Vegas, the corridors of the music industry, and the imagination of a global audience. Every new revelation, every unverified sighting, every cryptic statement only deepened the mystery. The questions outnumbered the answers, the theories outpaced the facts, and the legend of Tupac Shakur refused to die, echoing louder than any gunshot, any rhyme, any record ever could.